Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video is about when Venus is retrograde, love needs cherishing. So this particular video and its accompanying blog post are offered as a general resource for the future, a resource that can be referred to for guidance whenever Venus turns retrograde in the heavens. Note that whenever Venus is retrograde, Venus is in trouble. Love and other life areas affected by Venus energies become fraught. But if we can understand the nature of the challenge, plus any particular other planet energies affecting any Venus retrograde period, then we can reap a golden harvest. As a separate point, I'd tell you that Venus, the planet of love, is actually retrograde at the timing of this, the filming of this video and its blog. Venus is retrograde 22nd of July to September the 3rd. But I cover that in a separate video and blog, published at the same time, because I want this video and blog to be more about the general principles underlying Venus retrograde. And in fact, the Venus retrograde energies coming up from the 22nd of July to the September the 3rd extend wider back in July and to the end of November. And there's some very nasty energies from certain other planets at this time, Mars, Saturn and Rahu the North Node. And the challenges from the signs Venus is going through at this time need to be understood. Leo and Virgo, and of course Leo in the Gandanta between Cancer and Leo. So do see my other video and blog, because I don't want to divert too much into a specific Venus retrograde period. I want this video and blog to deal with the general issues of when Venus is retrograde, love needs cherishing. So when Venus is retrograde and in trouble, what should I do? It's so useful to hear about and be reminded about the sort of experiences we could well feel during the difficult Venus retrograde energies. And we can refer back to this post at any time in the future that Venus is retrograde, when we're all going to be affected by this stuff again. Now, Venus is primarily the planet affecting and deciding our love relationships. And of course, we also need to be aware that Venus also affects so much more of our personality and so many other of our life issues as well. So read on about the extent of our Venus issues below. But the central point is that we each do need to be able to assess and understand our own personal Venus energies and our Venus scripts. And each of us needs to try better and better to perceive clearly our own individual Venus destiny. Do you know what yours is? Get a reading from me. There's my Star Wheel Astrology website, and the link is below in the video description and in the accompanying blog. But also, there's my international dating site for those who are on a spiritual journey who are also seeking love. And it's supported by a panel of dedicated astrologers and healers, Love Star Dating, and the link is below and in the accompanying blog. Now, please do note that exceptionally, I always combine both the vast ancient wisdoms of Vedic astrology plus the psychological newer consciousness of Western astrology, whenever I do a reading and in all my courses. So Western astrology is a newer consciousness, i.e. post the storming of the Bastille, when Uranus was discovered and then the other outer planets were discovered, and post the work of Freud and Jung, when the unconscious and the shadow were discovered. And following that, Chiron and Lilith entered our human consciousness. So I do feel this is a wonderful combination that I offer in all my readings and courses. So you might like to get a reading from me or sign up for a course with me. For example, to deeper understand and heal your Venus or your life generally. And I'd like to tell you that Vedic astrology has wonderful divisional charts derived from the Rashi birth chart, where each of the divisional charts or Varga charts states something so utterly deep and so utterly special and so eye-opening and destiny revealing about a particular area of our life. And I've revolutionized understanding of how Chiron and Lilith contribute to our personality and our past life-rooted destinies by including Chiron and Lilith into the Vedic divisional charts called Varga charts. So that I, supply this in my readings and in all my courses. So the point is that at a time of Venus retrograde period, we each of us may need to bring in empowering and healing new approaches in our life. Venus retrograde periods may make us come to feel that we have problems in love, in the showing of love or the receiving of love or keeping love alive. So at the Venus retrograde time, we need to work in an agreed way with our partner if we're in a relationship. And if necessary, check out the wonderful healers and astrologers working on the Love Star Dating website. Okay, to get to the heart of the matter, there is a wonderful and very key teaching of the meaning of Venus retrograde, which actually comes from ancient Mesopotamia. And we can all benefit from this ancient wisdom. Venus disappears from the skies for a time during a Venus retrograde period. And Venus transitions from evening star to disappear and then to reappear as morning star. This is part of any Venus retrograde period. And it has meaning for how we'll be feeling about matters of love. And there is a very important story about it coming from ancient Mesopotamia, goddess Ishtar, also called Inanna. Ishtar was then the goddess of earth. But what happened was that Ishtar's husband died. And so, in utter grief and loss, the loss of her love, Ishtar descended into the underworld to try and get him back. Grieving, distraught, Ishtar or Inanna had to pass a series of 7 gate guards on the way down into the abyss of the underworld. And each of those little gate guards demanded a payment of her. So Ishtar arrived at the bottom of the underworld, naked and bereft. She'd given away everything. And there she had to face her sister Ereshkigal, goddess of the underworld. Naked and bereft, she faced her sister Ereshkigal, having lost her love. And what did Ereshkigal do? Ereshkigal hung Inanna on a meat hook on the wall, naked and bereft. Inanna went through hell. She had walked down into hell. What could she do about it? She was left hanging there in utter desolation. Well, the humans who were left up on the surface of the earth grieved the loss of their earth goddess. The crops were failing. They were starving and fearful. So what the humans did, they sent a little creature to creep round the 7 sets of gate guards and go down, down, down to get to the very pit of hell. And there he retrieved Inanna. He got her back, creeping round the gate guards, going upwards, upwards, upwards to the surface of the earth. But the important point is that when Inanna returned from her abyss, her experience of suffering, grief, desolation and deprivation, and the loss of her beloved husband, she was now not only the goddess of earth, she had become the goddess of love as well. So there's a most important message to us that any Venus retrograde period can take us down into the abyss. But if we recognise its potential and working with our partner, if we're in a partnership, we can arise more loving than we were. By the way, I actually offer a really empowering journey to the abyss online, and it comes complete with your astrology reading. You can get this anytime. So what happens is I give you a Western and Vedic combined astrology reading, plus preliminary reports, and then developing from the wisdom of the reading, I give you an online personal journey into the abyss, just like Inanna, just like Persephone who went down into Hades. It's an empowering journey into your shadow material. We all need to do this. And through this, we can come to and arise in our shining and empowerment. Now you'll find out more about my journey to the abyss, accompanied with a reading, on my Star Wheel Astrology website. It's under the More link in the heading, and it's called Journey to the Abyss, and the link is in the accompanying blog. So we have to realise that at times the energies of the cosmos can affect us helpfully and easily, but at other times the energies of the cosmos can horrendously, challengingly affect us. But we have to see that, yes, these horrendous times can give us the hardest learning, but through these we have the chance to grow spiritually, if only we can see the divine meaning in the things. And that's where my astrology readings can help. And depending on the signs and the other planets involved at the time, a Venus retrograde period is definitely the time for having definable, big, challenging energies in love to deal with, and in other areas of our life as well. So this post shares with you the full meaning and handling wisdom of Venus energies at any time, now or in the future, when Venus is retrograde. It seeks to examine what are the lower Venus energy manifestations and the lower way of handling them, but also what are the higher Venus energy manifestations and the higher way of handling those. And as I said, I'd like you to see the part 2 post, which is entitled Very Difficult Venus Love Energies in July to November 2023, because that's a particularly fraught period. And what's offered in the July post are the detail of what's going on when Venus, the planet of love, is retrograde, 22nd of July to September the 3rd. What it means when Venus transits the Cancer-Leo Gandanta zone. What it means when Venus changes signs between Cancer, Leo, Virgo and Libra at this time in 2023. What will we be feeling and what might we gain from the fact that Pluto is square the nodes at this time? What do we need to realise from the fact that Ketu is transiting Libra, the sign that Venus rules at this time? What does it mean that Chiron is trine Venus part of this time? What does it mean that Venus transits the Sun conjunct and combust as part of this time? Really important stuff. What sort of experiences will we have when Mars and Venus are transiting the Cancer-Leo Gandanta zone? I'll tell you about that. Really important to know about avoiding frustration and anger when Saturn transits opposite Mars in the heavens. Really important to know what Saturn does to Venus love when Saturn transits opposition Venus in the heavens. So having reviewed the sorts of things that can go on, now let's look deeper at the general meaning of a Venus retrograde period. Well, first of all, we need to know, what are Venus energies? What are the areas of life that Venus affects? What are the higher and the lower Venus energies? Well, first of all, of course, Venus is the planet whose energies affect our love relationships. But Venus energies affect us greatly also in other areas of our personality in our life, especially when Venus is retrograde. And we must remember that ultimately Venus energies, like all planetary energies, actually have a divine dimension. And wonderful learning can be had from the ancients, gods and goddesses of love. Goddesses Inanna, Venus and Aphrodite, gods Shukra, Eros and Cupid, and so many more. So let's look at some of the other dimensions of ourself that Venus energies affect. The state of Venus energies in our personal life, and also in the energies surrounding all of us at any given time, will first of all affect our level of passion and how we express our passion. The state of Venus energies and Venus energies in the cosmos around us at given times, we need to realise also affect our sense of self-value, of self-worth, a most utterly critical life area. We need to realise also that Venus has a huge effect on our wealth issues, our money and finances, including financial issues in the level of countries and the world. So important to realise that Venus energies also affect our connection to beauty and our creative expression, our appreciation of the beautiful and the aesthetic sense. We need to be aware that Venus can help or hinder our sense of comfort and happiness and adapt to what's going on in that area. Venus is the karaka or indicator for woman or wife issues in a man's chart and sensual loving experiences in life generally. Most importantly, Venus is also guru. Very importantly, Venus is seen in Vedic astrology as one of the two guru planets, Venus together with Jupiter. We absolutely need to know the state and standing of our two guru planets in our birth chart, affecting our person, and in our transit charts, predictive charts, which will affect how we receive the guru energies at different times. Now Jupiter, as he appears in our chart and in our life path, is the first guru. Jupiter can offer us blessing, sense of purpose, divine energy-based guidance, expansion. But most importantly, Venus, our Venus as our second guru, is our pleasure-based wisdom feelings. Now these can ultimately guide us in handling demon energies, dealing with demons in ourself and dealing with demons in others. The very important truth is that Shukra, the divine Venus, is the teacher of demons, the preceptor of demons. This is because it's so important to realise that to subdue and influence demons, demon energies, people with demonic side to them, cannot be done by force, but only by charm and grace, by our Venus. And our rightful Venus also gives each of us power. This isn't only the power that fascinates, but also the power to move and to motivate. So Venus is Guru. In Vedic astrology, divine Venus is Lord Shukra, and he's described as appearing as follows: joyful in spirit, possessing a beautiful body, splendorous, and he has lovely eyes. Venus is